The Sunday morning air in Manhattan's Upper East Side carried the scent of fresh coffee and expensive perfume as I stood in the marble-floored lobby of Riverside Towers, watching my mother hand my apartment keys to my sister Emma, like she was passing along a dinner recipe. "Olivia, don't make that face," Mom said, not even looking at me. "You know Emma's situation is dire. She has a family to think about." Emma, my 34-year-old sister, clutched the keys like they were made of gold, her perfectly manicured nails gleaming under the lobby's crystal chandelier. Her husband Marcus stood behind her, already directing the moving crew toward the elevator bank. "3 bedrooms, wasn't it?" Marcus asked, consulting his phone. "Perfect. The kids will finally have space to spread out." I stood there in my usual weekend attire, faded jeans, a Columbia University hoodie from my undergraduate days, and sneakers that had seen better years. My mother's designer pantsuit probably cost more than my entire outfit times 10, or so she thought. "Mom, you can't just give away my apartment," I said quietly, keeping my voice level. "Can't I?" She raised one perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "Olivia, let's be realistic. You're 32 years old, working as a property manager. You make what, $50,000 a year, maybe 60. This apartment's monthly maintenance alone is $4,000. Your father and I have been covering it since you moved in." Emma smirked, already heading toward the elevator. "Don't worry, Liv, you can take my old studio in Queens. It's cozy, perfect for someone in your situation." The moving crew, 4 large men in matching gray uniforms, started loading boxes onto brass luggage carts. I recognized them from Empire Moving Company. Emma had clearly been planning this for weeks. "I appreciate the generous offer," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm that sailed right over their heads, "but I think there's been a misunderstanding." "The only misunderstanding," Mom said, adjusting her Hermes scarf, "is you thinking you could sustain this lifestyle on a property manager's salary. Your father and I are cutting you off, Olivia. It's time you learn to live within your means. Emma needs this space. She has 2 children, a husband with a promising career at Goldman Sachs, and she's pregnant with their 3rd. Marcus puffed out his chest slightly at the mention of Goldman Sachs. He worked in their IT department, a perfectly respectable job, but the way Mom said it, you'd think he was managing their entire investment portfolio. "When did you decide this?" I asked. "Last week, at the country club." Mom examined her nails. "Patricia Morrison mentioned how embarrassing it was that her daughter was still living off family money at your age. It made me realize we haven't been doing you any favors." Patricia Morrison, of course. The woman whose daughter Victoria had married into old banking money, and never let anyone forget it. Emma was already in the elevator, holding the door. "Come on, Mom, let's go see my new place. I want to figure out where to put the Steinway." "You're putting a piano in my apartment?" I asked. "My apartment," Emma corrected. "Mom's apartment technically, since she's been paying for it. But now it's mine." The elevator doors started to close, but I wasn't in them. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. "Riverside Towers Management, this is Jennifer speaking." "Jennifer, hi, it's Olivia Hartman. Is David available?" "Miss Hartman, of course. Let me transfer you to his cell." Mom had stopped at the elevator, looking back at me with irritation. "Olivia, stop being dramatic. You can collect your things this week. Emma's being generous enough to let you stay through Tuesday." David answered on the 2nd ring. "Olivia, what's wrong? I need you to come to the main lobby immediately. We have an unauthorized occupancy situation in Unit 3000. There was a pause. Then David's voice came back, professional and crisp. "Unit 3000, I mean the penthouse. I'm on my way." I hung up and looked at my mother calmly. "The building manager is coming down." "Good," Mom said. "You can explain to him that we're transferring the lease to Emma. I'm sure there's paperwork." The elevator arrived again, and this time all of us got in. Me, Mom, Emma, Marcus, and 2 of the movers with their carts piled high with boxes labeled Emma's Kitchen and Kids' Toys. The ride to the 30th floor was silent, except for the soft classical music playing through hidden speakers. Emma kept glancing at me, her expression somewhere between triumphant and nervous. When the doors opened onto the private hallway that led to only one door, my apartment, Emma gasped. "Wait, this entire floor is one apartment, 3,000 square feet," Marcus said, checking his phone again. Says here it's one of the original penthouses, never subdivided. Original moldings, pre-war details, terrace overlooking the East River. Mom smiled. Your father bought this for Olivia when she graduated from Columbia. We thought it would be a good investment. Clearly we were wrong about who should be living here. Emma was already unlocking the door. I didn't stop her. Instead, I leaned against the hallway wall and waited. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Minimally furnished, clean, organized. I'd never been one for clutter. My furniture was nice, but not ostentatious. A comfortable couch from West Elm. A coffee table I'd found at an estate sale. Bookshelves loaded with everything from property law textbooks to thriller novels. This is it. Emma wrinkled her nose. It's so plain. What did you expect? Mom sighed. Olivia's never had any sense of style. Emma, don't worry. Once we get your furniture in here, it'll look completely different. Much more sophisticated. Marcus was already on his phone, taking pictures. The terrace is incredible. We could host parties here. Real parties, not like those cramped affairs in our current place. The movers started bringing boxes in, stacking them in the foyer. Emma was walking through the rooms, mentally redecorating. The master bedroom is huge. We could fit a king bed and still have room for a sitting area. And this second bedroom, perfect nursery. The third one can be the playroom. Where exactly do you think I'm supposed to put my things? I asked. Oh, Olivia, stop. Mom waved her hand dismissively. You barely have anything. What do you own? Some books, some clothes, that sad little couch. We'll have it moved to the Queen's studio. You'll be much more comfortable living somewhere appropriate for your income level. There was a knock at the door, 3 sharp raps. I walked over and opened it to find David Morrison, the building's property manager, standing there in his usual crisps. He was 53, former Marine, and had been managing Riverside Towers for 15 years. Miss Hartman, he said, his voice formal. You called about an unauthorized occupancy? David. Mom stepped forward. There's been a misunderstanding. I'm Margaret Hartman, Olivia's mother. We're transferring this apartment to my daughter Emma. She's the one who actually needs this space. David's expression didn't change. I see. And you have documentation for this transfer? Well, not yet, but Mom, I'm going to need to ask you and your family to vacate the premises immediately. Emma stopped mid-step in the hallway. Excuse me, this is private property, David said calmly. Without proper authorization from the owner, you're trespassing. Mom laughed. Actually laughed. Young man, I don't think you understand. My husband and I have been paying for this apartment for 10 years. We own it. We can transfer it to whomever we choose. No, Mom, David said. You don't own it. The color started to drain from Mom's face. What are you talking about? Of course we own it. We bought it in 2015. You bought it as a gift for your daughter Olivia, David said. The deed is in her name. It's always been in her name. I watched my mother's face as this information processed. Emma had stopped completely, standing frozen in the hallway. That's impossible, Mom said. We bought it. We've been paying the maintenance fees. Have you? I asked quietly. Mom spun to face me. What? Have you been paying the maintenance fees? Because I seem to remember taking over those payments in 2018, 7 years ago. You? Emma's voice was shrill. On a property manager's salary. Olivia, Mom's voice had an edge to it now. Stop playing games. You can't possibly afford $4,000 a month in maintenance. I finished. Plus property taxes, plus building assessments. You're right, that would be difficult on a property manager's salary. David cleared his throat. Miss Hartman also owns units 2700, 2850, and 1400 in this building. And she owns the building. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. What? Emma whispered. I'm sorry, Mom said, her voice strangely high. What did you just say? David reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, handing it to my mother. Riverside Towers is owned by Hartman Property Group. Miss Olivia Hartman is the founder and CEO. I work for her. Marcus was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. That's not possible. Hartman Property Group owns half the residential real estate in Manhattan. 60% actually, I corrected. We acquired the Sutton Place portfolio last year. Emma's face had gone from pink to white to an interesting shade of green. You own this building. And 12 others in Manhattan, I said. Plus properties in Brooklyn, Queens, and a development project in Jersey City. Mom sat down heavily on my couch, the sad little couch she'd just insulted. This isn't funny, Olivia. It's not meant to be. I took the business card from David and looked at it, even though I'd designed it myself. David, can you call building security? I want these people and their belongings removed from my apartment immediately. You can't be serious, Emma said. Mom, tell her she can't do this. But Mom wasn't saying anything. She was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. Marcus found his voice. This is insane. You work as a property manager. We've seen you. You wear jeans and old hoodies. You drive a 2015 Honda Civic. I manage properties. I agreed. My properties. And yes, I drive a 2015 Civic. It's paid off, it's reliable, and it doesn't depreciate anymore. Why would I waste money on a new car every 3 years? The country club, Mom said faintly. You let Patricia Morrison's daughter mock you. You let them all mock you. I didn't let them do anything. They chose to make assumptions. I chose not to correct them. Emma was gripping the back of a chair now. But you work. We've seen you working. You're always in those buildings, dealing with tenants, fixing things. I'm involved in my business, I said. I know every building I own, every system, every tenant concern. That's how you build a successful property management company. You actually manage the properties. David's phone buzzed. Security is on their way up. This is ridiculous, Marcus said, trying to regain some authority. You can't just throw family out onto the street. I'm not throwing you onto the street. You have a home. In Queens, where you live. This is my home. And you broke in. We didn't break in, Emma shrieked. Mom gave us the keys. Mom doesn't have the authority to give you keys to property she doesn't own. The elevator dinged, and 2 security guards stepped out, both of them familiar faces who'd worked at Riverside for years. Miss Hartman, the older one, Miguel, nodded to me. We understand there's a problem. These people are trespassing, I said. Please escort them out of the building. The movers can take their belongings back down. Olivia, please. Mom's voice cracked. Can we just talk about this? We are talking. You're talking while being escorted out of my apartment. Emma started crying, actual tears streaming down her face. But where are we supposed to go? Our lease is up next week. We gave notice because Mom said we could move in here. I looked at her, really looked at her. My sister, who'd spent our entire childhood being the favorite, who got the bigger room, the better toys, the first choice of everything, who'd been handed opportunities I'd had to fight for, connections I'd had to build myself. That sounds like poor planning, I said. Marcus put his arm around Emma. You're really going to do this? To your own sister? My sister who just tried to steal my apartment? Yes. The movers, sensing the shift in power, had already started moving the boxes back onto their carts. They worked for Empire Moving Company, which, as it happened, rented their warehouse space from one of my buildings. They knew exactly who signed their lease. Mom stood up slowly, her designer bag clutched in her hands. I don't understand. When did this happen? How did I build a real estate empire, while you thought I was barely scraping by? I walked to the window, looking out at the East River. I started in college. I bought my first property, a small apartment building in Washington Heights, with money I made from a software program I developed. Nothing fancy, just a property management system that worked better than what was available. I sold it to a larger company, for enough to make a down payment. I turned back to face them. That was 12 years ago. I was 20. I lived in that building, managed it myself, learned everything about property maintenance, tenant relations, building systems. I wore jeans and old t-shirts, because I was fixing toilets and painting apartments. While you were buying designer handbags, I was buying buildings. Emma wiped her eyes. But you never said anything. You never asked. None of you did. You saw what you wanted to see. The disappointing daughter, who didn't go into law, or medicine, or marry rich. You assumed I was struggling because I didn't live the way you thought successful people should live. Your father will hear about this, Mom said, her voice shaking. Dad already knows, I said quietly. Who do you think helped me structure my first LLC? Who gave me advice on commercial lending? Mom's face went completely white. Robert knew. He's known since the beginning. He's proud of me actually. Says I remind him of his father, Grandpa James, who built his fortune during the Depression by buying properties no one else wanted and turning them around. The boxes were all on carts now. The movers were waiting by the elevator. Miguel stepped forward. Ma'am, we need you to leave now. Mom looked at me one last time. This is cruel, Olivia. No, I said. Cruel is giving away someone's home without asking. Cruel is telling your daughter she's an embarrassment. Cruel is choosing one child over another for 32 years and expecting the other one to just accept it. Emma was sobbing now, full ugly crying. Please live. We have nowhere to go. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my property management app. Unit 1400, in this building is vacant. 2 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet. The tenant moved out last month. Market rate is $5,800 a month, but I'll rent it to you for $4,200. Same as what Mom thought this place cost in maintenance. Marcus looked up sharply. You'd rent to us, on a standard lease. First month, last month, security deposit, background check, credit check, employment verification, same as any other tenant. We don't have that kind of money ready, Emma admitted. We were using our savings for the kids' private school tuition. Then I suggest you figure something out. Your lease in Queens isn't up until next week. You have time. Mom's hands were shaking. How can you be so cold? I'm not being cold. I'm being fair. Something you never taught me, but I learned anyway. I walked to the door and held it open. David will send you the application for Unit 1400 if you're interested. If not, there are plenty of other apartments in the city. Miguel and his partner, gently but firmly guided Mom and Emma toward the elevator. Marcus followed, his face stunned. The movers went after them, carts laden with boxes that would now have to be unpacked somewhere else. Just before the elevator doors closed, Mom looked at me. Your father will fix this. Dad doesn't want to fix this, Mom. He wants you to apologize. He's wanted that for years. The doors closed. David waited until the elevator descended before speaking. That was intense. That was overdue. I walked back into my apartment, suddenly exhausted. Can you make sure they actually leave the building? Already on it. Miguel will call when they're out. Thanks, David. And sorry for the drama. He smiled slightly. Miss Hartman, I've worked in property management for 25 years. Family drama over apartments is literally half my job. Though usually it's not my boss's family. After he left, I stood in my living room. My plain simple living room, that Emma had wrinkled her nose at, and felt the tension drain out of my shoulders. My phone rang. Dad, hey Olivia. Your mother just called me. She's upset. I imagine she is. She said you threw her and Emma out of the penthouse. They broke into my apartment and started moving Emma in. I had security remove them. Dad was quiet for a moment. Your mother genuinely believed she owned that apartment. The deed has been in my name for 10 years. I know that, Olivia. I've tried to tell her, but she handles all the household finances. And she's been paying some bills that she thought were for your apartment. I didn't realize she'd convinced herself that meant ownership. What bills? Your phone, your car insurance, things like that. She bundles them with our accounts. A few $100 a month. She told herself she was supporting you. I sat down on my sad little couch. Dad, I make 7 figures a year. I don't need her to pay my phone bill. I know that. You know that. Your mother, she needs to feel needed. And she'd built this entire narrative, where Emma was the successful one, and you were the one who needed help, even though the evidence directly contradicted that narrative. Your mother sees what she wants to see. It's one of her less endearing qualities. Dad sighed. She's demanding I make you apologize. Are you going to ask me to? God, no. You should have done this years ago. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. I just wish you'd let us brag about you. You can brag about me to your poker buddies, but I don't need it announced at the country club. Your mother needs it announced at the country club. She needs Patricia Morrison to know that her daughter isn't just successful, she's more successful than Victoria could ever dream of being. That's Mom's problem, not mine. Fair enough. I could hear him smiling. Emma called me too. She wants to know if the apartment offer was real. It was. Standard lease terms. If she qualifies, she'll qualify. Marcus makes decent money, and Emma has trust fund income. They've just been living above their means trying to keep up with the neighbors. Then they can apply like anyone else. Olivia, yeah Dad, your grandfather would be so proud of you. You built something real, something lasting. You didn't just inherit wealth, you created it. My throat felt tight. Thanks Dad. Your mother will come around. Give her time. I've given her 32 years. She can take all the time she needs. After we hung up, I walked out onto my terrace. The East River sparkled in the afternoon sun. Across the water, I could see some of my other properties buildings I'd bought, renovated, filled with tenants who paid rent on time, and treated their homes with respect. I'd built this, not because anyone expected me to, but because no one expected me to. My phone buzzed with a text from David. Family has left the building. All movers gone. Security footage saved to your account. Emma's husband asked for the application for Unit 1400. Should I send it? I typed back, yes, standard processing, no special treatment. Another text came in, this one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Emma. I'm sorry I didn't know. We really need that apartment. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I replied, apply properly. No guarantees. She sent back, does Mom really not own anything? No. Dad owns their apartment, and the house in the Hamptons. His name only. Check the deeds. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, why didn't you ever say anything? I thought about that. Really thought about it. Because you never asked who I was. You only saw who you thought I should be. No response came back. I put my phone away, and went inside to make coffee. My apartment, my plain simple perfect apartment, was quiet again. Peaceful. Tomorrow Emma's application would come through. David would process it like any other tenant application. She'd either qualify, or she wouldn't. And if she did qualify, she'd sign a lease that clearly stated I was the landlord, and she was the tenant. She'd pay rent on time, or face late fees. She'd maintain the property, or lose her security deposit. She'd be held to the same standards as everyone else, which was all I'd ever wanted, to be held to the same standards, judged by the same metrics, given the same respect. I'd built an empire by being the person no one expected me to be, by working when they thought I was failing, by saving when they thought I was struggling, by learning when they thought I was lost, and now they knew. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Mom. We need to talk. I typed back, when you're ready to apologize, I'm ready to listen. Then I silenced my phone, took my coffee to the terrace, and watched the sun set over the city I owned. The week that followed was remarkably quiet. I'd half expected Mom to show up with Dad in tow, demanding explanations or apologies or whatever it was she thought she deserved. Instead, my phone stayed silent except for business calls and a few texts from Dad checking in. Emma's application came through on Tuesday. David knocked on my office door, a converted bedroom in my penthouse that I used as a home base when I wasn't visiting my other properties. Miss Hartman, the application for Unit 1400. I took the folder from him. Standard paperwork, everything filled out in Emma's careful handwriting. Employment verification for Marcus showed he made $145,000 a year at Goldman Sachs. Emma listed her income as trust fund and investments, $60,000 annually. Combined income of $205,000. More than enough for a $4,200 apartment. Their credit scores were good, 720 and 735. No bankruptcies, no evictions. 3 personal references, 2 from Marcus's colleagues and 1 from their children's pediatrician. Background check came back clean. David said, no criminal history. Previous landlord in Queens gave a positive reference, said they were quiet tenants, always paid on time. I studied the application, Emma had listed me as her emergency contact. Everything seems in order, I said neutrally. Do you want me to approve it? I looked up at David. He'd worked for me long enough to know when I was processing something personal versus something professional. What would you do? I asked. If this were any other applicant. Approve it immediately. They're model tenants on paper. Unit 1400 has been vacant for 6 weeks. We're losing money every day it sits empty. Then approve it. Standard lease, standard terms. Move-in date, let's say Saturday. That gives them time to arrange movers and gives our maintenance team time to do a final walkthrough. David nodded and left. I sat at my desk for a long moment, staring at Emma's application. My sister. My golden child sister who'd never had to work for anything, now applying to rent an apartment from me like a stranger. The irony wasn't lost on me. Wednesday afternoon, I was at one of my Brooklyn properties, a 6-story building in Park Slope that I'd bought 5 years ago and converted from neglected rental units to well-maintained homes. I was in the basement with my maintenance supervisor, Jorge, looking at a boiler that was making concerning noises. It's the circulation pump, Jorge said, pointing to a component that was indeed rattling ominously. I can replace it, but this whole system is 20 years old. We should start planning for a full replacement. Get me quotes, I said, making notes on my phone. And schedule it for spring, before next winter. I don't want to be doing emergency replacements in January. My phone rang. Mom. I almost didn't answer. Then I thought about what Dad had said about giving her time, and I picked up. Olivia. Her voice was strained. We need to talk. I'm at work. Of course you are. You're always at work, apparently. Work I knew nothing about. I walked away from Jorge, finding a quiet corner near the laundry room. What do you want, Mom? I want to understand. I want to know when my daughter became a stranger. I'm the same person I've always been. You just never bothered to look. She was quiet for a moment. Your father showed me the business registry. Hartman Property Group, founded in 2013. 12 years, Olivia. You've been doing this for 12 years and you never said a word. I told you I was working in property management. You said you were a property manager. I thought you worked for someone else. I do work for someone else. I work for my company. I manage my properties. I wasn't lying, Mom. You just made assumptions. Because you let me. You drove that old car, you wore those clothes, you lived like you were barely getting by. I leaned against the wall, suddenly tired. I lived within my means. I invested my profits instead of spending them on things I didn't need. That's called being smart with money, not struggling. But why didn't you tell us? Why did you let us think you needed help? When did I ever ask for help? When did I ever say I was struggling? Silence. Exactly. I continued. You assumed I needed help because I wasn't living the life you thought I should live. You assumed I was failing because I wasn't showing off. And I let you assume because honestly, Mom, I was too busy building something real to care about your assumptions. That's cruel. No, what's cruel is trying to give my home to Emma without even asking me. What's cruel is calling me an embarrassment. What's cruel is spending 32 years making it clear that I'm the disappointment. I heard her breath catch. I never said you were a disappointment. You didn't have to say it. You showed it every single day. Every time you praised Emma for doing the bare minimum, while ignoring my actual achievements. Every time you introduced her as your successful daughter and me as your daughter who works in buildings. I thought, her voice cracked. I thought you were happy. You never complained. You never asked for anything. I was happy. I am happy. But I'm happy in spite of you, not because of you. More silence. Then quietly. Emma told me about the apartment application. She qualified. She and Marcus can move in Saturday. Just like that. After everything, you're just renting her an apartment. She needs a place to live. I have a vacant unit. It's business, Mom. Not charity, not favoritism, not family drama. Business. I don't understand you. I know. That's been the problem all along. We sat in silence for a moment, connected by phone across the city but miles apart in understanding. Finally, Mom said, Patricia Morrison called me. Of course she did. She wanted to know if it was true. If you really owned half of Manhattan's residential real estate. Her daughter Victoria saw a Business Journal article about Hartman Property Group's latest acquisition. I closed my eyes. The Sutton Place portfolio had made the papers. I'd hoped to fly under the radar a little longer. What did you tell her? I told her yes. Yes, my daughter owns a multi-million-dollar property management company. Yes, she built it herself. Yes, she's been doing this since she was 20 years old. I'm surprised you admitted it. I'm not going to lie about my daughter's success, Olivia. I might be guilty of not seeing it, but I won't pretend it doesn't exist. That was something, I supposed. Patricia asked if you were married. Mom continued. If you had children. I said no. And she said what a shame, that a woman with so much professional success hadn't found personal happiness. I laughed, actually laughed. And you agreed with her, didn't you? Yes, I did. Mom, I'm happy. I have a career I love, financial security, independence. I have friends, hobbies, a life. I'm not sitting in a tower waiting to be rescued. I am the tower. But don't you want more? A family of your own, maybe someday, or maybe not. But either way, it's my choice. Not yours, not Patricia Morrison's, not society's. Mine. Jorge appeared around the corner, pointing at his watch. I had another appointment across town in 40 minutes. I have to go, I told Mom. Wait, Olivia. She paused. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Really see you. I'm sorry I tried to give your home away. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough. The apology hung in the air between us. Thank you, I said finally. That means something. Can we have dinner? You, me, your father, Emma too, if you're willing. I want to start over. I want to know my daughter. I'll think about it. That's all I can ask. After we hung up, I stood in that basement for a moment processing. An apology, an actual apology from Margaret Hartman, who never admitted she was wrong about anything. Jorge cleared his throat. Boss, we gotta go if you want to make your next meeting. Right. Yeah, let's go. Saturday morning arrived with clear skies and unusually warm weather for late October. I watched from my office window as the moving truck pulled up for Emma's move into Unit 1400. Different movers this time. She'd learned her lesson about using Empire Moving Company. My phone buzzed. Emma, we're here. Thank you for this. I didn't respond. Business was business. But an hour later there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Emma standing there, looking nothing like the polished, confident woman who'd tried to steal my apartment a week ago. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, her hair in a messy ponytail, her face free of makeup and blotchy from what looked like recent crying. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside. She walked into my living room, the same living room she'd dismissed as plain and sad a week ago, and turned to face me. I owe you an apology. You owe me several. I know. She twisted her hands together. I've been thinking all week about what happened. About what I did. What I tried to do. Steal my apartment, I thought. She sat down on my couch without being invited. I thought it was ours. Family property. I genuinely believed Mom owned it and was just letting you stay there until someone who needed it more came along. Someone being you. I'm the golden child. Remember, everything always worked out for me. I married Marcus, had the kids, lived the life Mom wanted. And you disappeared. You worked jobs that made no sense. You lived small. I thought you were failing. I was succeeding, just not in ways you recognized. I know that now. She looked around the apartment. This place isn't plain. It's elegant, simple, intentional, like you. I didn't respond. Marcus showed me the business articles, Emma continued. About Hartman Property Group. About you. Did you know Forbes estimated your net worth at over $300 million? Forbes doesn't know everything. Is it more? It's none of your business. She flinched but nodded. Fair. I want you to know I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. Not because you're rich and powerful and I need something from you, but because I treated you like you didn't matter, and that was wrong. Why are you telling me this? Because Mom's right. I don't understand you. I've never understood you. And I'd like to, if you'll let me. I studied my sister, really looked at her for the first time in years. She looked tired, older than 34, the kind of tired that comes from keeping up appearances, from living beyond your means. from constantly trying to be something you're not. Why did you give notice on your queen's apartment before confirming you could move into mine? I asked. She looked down. Because I was so sure it would work out. It always works out for me. You know, I wanted the penthouse so badly. I was tired of Queens, tired of the small space, tired of Marcus complaining. I thought if I forced the issue, if I just moved in, it would become real. That's called magical thinking. I know, my therapist told me the same thing. You're seeing a therapist. Started last week. After the incident, Marcus insisted. She looked up at me. He was humiliated, Liv. He works at Goldman Sachs, and he tried to steal an apartment from one of the city's biggest property owners. His boss heard about it. The whole firm heard about it. Good. You're not going to make this easy, are you? Why should I? Emma stood up, walking to the window. You shouldn't. I don't deserve easy. I just want you to know that I'm trying to be better, to see things more clearly, to appreciate what I have instead of always wanting more. That's a start. Unit 1400 is beautiful, by the way. Smaller than this, but perfect for us. The kids love their room. Marcus loves the kitchen. I love that it's ours. Really ours. Not mom's. Not borrowed. Not handed down. Ours. You're paying rent for it. Yes. And that feels good. It feels honest. I didn't know what to say to that. Emma turned back to me. Mom's planning a family dinner. Did she tell you? She mentioned it. Are you coming? I haven't decided. I hope you do. I hope we get a chance to start over. All of us. She headed for the door, then paused. One more thing. What? How did you do it? Build all of this while we thought you were struggling. I smiled slightly. I worked. Every day I worked. While you were at brunch, I was meeting with contractors. While you were shopping, I was reviewing lease agreements. While you were on vacation, I was walking properties and learning systems. I outworked everyone, Emma. That's how I did it. She nodded slowly. I believe you. She opened the door, then looked back one more time. You know what the saddest part is? I'm proud of you. I'm genuinely proud of you. And I wish I'd told you that years ago. After she left, I stood at my window watching the city. My buildings, my tenants, my empire, built on hard work and smart decisions, and absolutely zero flash or fanfare. Sunday evening, I drove to my parents' house in Westchester. The same house I'd grown up in. The same dining room where Emma had always sat at the place of honor. The same table where I'd been the quiet one in the corner. Dad answered the door. Olivia, you came, I said. I'd think about it. I thought about it. He hugged me tight. Your mother's nervous. Good. The dining room was set beautifully. Mom's good china, fresh flowers, candles. Emma and Marcus were already there, sitting on one side of the table. They both stood when I entered. Olivia, Marcus said awkwardly. Thank you for coming. I nodded but didn't respond. Mom came in from the kitchen, her hands fluttering nervously. Olivia, I'm so glad you're here. I made your favorite chicken piccata. You made it, or Maria made it. Maria was their housekeeper. I made it. Myself, I wanted to do something for you. We sat down to dinner, the tension thick enough to cut. Dad poured wine for everyone, his hand steady even though his smile was strained. So, Dad said finally, Olivia, tell us about the Sutton Place acquisition. The journal article said it was the largest residential portfolio sale in Manhattan this decade. And just like that, the conversation shifted. I talked about the acquisition, 42 units in a pre-war building, undervalued because of deferred maintenance, perfect for my portfolio. Emma asked questions, real questions. Marcus asked about financing structures. Even Mom listened, really listened. Somewhere between the main course and dessert, something shifted. We weren't pretending to be a perfect family. We were being a real one. Messy, complicated, honest. I want to invest, Emma said suddenly. In your company, if you'd let me. I raised an eyebrow. With what money? My trust fund. It's just sitting in stocks and bonds. I want to do something real with it. Something I can point to and say I helped build. You understand that's a business transaction. You'd be a minority investor with no control over company decisions. I understand. I want to learn from you, Liv. I want to understand what you do. I looked at Dad. He was smiling into his wine glass. I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork, I said. Standard investor terms. No family discounts. I wouldn't want them. The dinner ended with coffee and Mom's homemade tiramisu. As I was leaving, Mom walked me to the door. Olivia, she said quietly, I know I can't undo 32 years of not seeing you, but I want to try to see you now. The real you. That's going to take time, Mom. I have time. I have all the time you need. I drove back to the city as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Thank you for giving us a chance. I won't waste it. Another text from Dad. Proud of you, sweetheart. Always have been. And one from Mom. I love you. I should have said that more. I pulled into the underground garage at Riverside Towers, parked my 2015 Civic in my designated spot, and took the elevator up to the 30th floor. My apartment, my plain, simple, perfect apartment, welcomed me home. I made myself a cup of tea, took it out to the terrace, and looked at my city. Somewhere out there were 12 buildings with my name on the deed, hundreds of tenants living in homes I provided, thousands of square feet of property I'd bought, renovated, and filled with life. I'd built this, not for approval, not for recognition, not to prove anything to anyone. I'd built it because I could. Because I wanted to, because I was good at it, and now finally, my family knew. The question was, did it change anything? I thought about Emma in Unit 1400, unpacking boxes in an apartment she was actually paying for, about Mom learning to see me as someone other than the disappointment, about Dad, who'd known all along, and never needed me to be anything other than myself. Maybe it did change things, maybe it didn't. Either way, I'd still wake up tomorrow, check my properties, meet with contractors, review leases, and build my empire one decision at a time. Because that's who I was, who I'd always been. Olivia Hartman, property owner, business owner, empire builder, and I didn't need anyone's permission to be successful. I already was.